Hello.
Hello.
Boy, have we got an exciting thing going here today. Actually, we have some questions from viewers and customers, and obviously there's a couple of strange people that have asked us questions, but I think we could answer some of these because we have some strange people to answer some of these things. Here's the easiest one. I want to get this out of the way first. This question says, will you cut me the exact size of the parts I need and only charge me for how much square footage they take up? No.
There's an exclamation point after that.
No. Sorry. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Think of it kind of like going to a meat market and saying, I'd like that steak right there, and would you please cut all the fat off it and then reweigh it and just charge me for that weight? Ain't gonna happen. So no.
Well, hang on a minute. Now, what about this? What about if I want to buy 1 square foot and I want it to be able to cut a belt strip out of it?
Probably not gonna happen.
It's going to be difficult.
Very probably.
Very probably. Here's the thing. We really do. Everybody here in mail order gathering, the whole gathering department, myself, Rusty, Liz, we really want to get you what you want, what you need at the price you want to pay. And we do that about 98% of the time. But the price that you pay for us being able to do that is that you kind of have to work with us when we can't. That's the deal. So if you want a 5-foot belt strip, well, you got to buy a belt strip and not just a square foot of leather because it works out to be cheaper. We can't do that. We end up with waste. I hope you understand. Okay, so you want to do another one? You want to do one?
Sure.
I would really like you to do one.
Rusty may have forgot his glasses.
I think. Would you like to? Are there any big words?
I'm looking for the short sentences here. Okay, I like this one. What determines the quality of a piece of leather? Don't cheat.
I didn't. I already wrote the answer part of it. So since you've asked, mainly, not entirely, but mainly, the quality is determined by the cosmetic issues. You can have the rest.
Okay, so forgive me.
Always.
That's not quality. That's visual appeal.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. So think about this. You take 1 cow and you take the hide and you split it down the backbone. You take those 2 pieces and you hang them side by side in a pit, in a tanning pit, and you dip them for however many days they dip them.
Months, years.
And all that time. And then you pull those 2 out and you toggle them, dry them, and then you lay them down. What's the difference in one side to the other? They came off the same cow. They had the same nutrients.
The quality is the same. The quality of the leather is the same. The quality of the tannage is the same. It's the grading that could change because of the cosmetic issues.
Because
maybe you really like to rub this right side up against the fence.
It's like this hand. This is my right hand. I'm right-handed. There's more scars on my right hand because I do more dumb stuff with my right hand than I do with my left hand. But they're on the same body. They're the same everything.
You're to tan them right up.
I didn't know you knew the difference.
Well, when this one makes an L.
Exactly. That's what I do.
Okay. So anyway, a lot of people confuse quality and grade. And really, he was entirely correct when he said it's the tanning of the leather that determines the quality. And if like Liz said, the cow rubbed his left side up against a post for his entire life, guess what? The grade might be lower.
And so that's the deal, is the grade. So when people say this isn't quality leather, well, okay, has it sat for years in the sun?
Is it
dry?
moldy?
And so those sort of things are actually quality. Visual appeal and preference is really what people are judging that based on.
Okay, how about if Liz does one?
Ooh,
I was going to say there's one that kind of goes along with that quality that we get together, and we had some questions come up of top grain, full grain, genuine leather.
Okay.
How does that play into...
Can I read it?
Oh, okay, sure, sorry.
What is full grain, top grain, and genuine?
I'd go with genuine. It's real.
Genuine means
Came off
real.
of,
And now here's the thing, though. Here's the caveat to that, I think, is genuine doesn't tell you whether it is a suede leather, whether it is made from leather dust,
Oh, yeah.
whether it is
A
finished,
split.
that has a finish over top of it. Genuine only says there's leather pieces in this.
Right.
It's made up, it's composed of leather. Okay, go ahead.
So when you've got full grain and top grain, you have basically the skin is still left on. So you've got the flesh side, which is back here, and then you have the grain side of leather, right? And so if you have a full grain leather, that means that it hasn't been altered at all. It has only been tanned. So you will still have any scarage that was there, whatever finishing that's been done, but they haven't corrected it?
Corrected.
Exactly. They haven't
So there's a term of a corrected grain.
Yeah.
So
Where basically it's been sanded.
yeah, on these pieces of leather, if you're watching from home, you probably cannot see the minor cosmetic issues on these two pieces of leather. They have some. This piece in particular has some open scars way up near the top, but they are not very deep at all. So let's just assume that this was a complete cow side, and it kind of had a problem because there was lots of these things. The tannery might decide to run this through a buffing process, and they're going to literally sand off that very, very, very thin layer of that full grain. And then
It becomes top grain.
they might
Because they've stayed in the grain.
right, stayed in the grain. So then they might put this piece of this cowhide under some pressure, and they might put a little hair cell print on it, or hey, they might put an alligator print on it, or they might put nothing on it. They might put just a normal looking cowhide grain print on it.
Or they might even just run it through a smooth roller with heat
and
applied.
just compress it, and then they're going to dye it and finish it to whatever the customer wanted. And that is typically a less expensive piece of leather until they get to the point where they've had to do so much to it that they would have to charge more. Top grain leather is altered and doctored up. Full grain leather, none of that.
So I want to do one more. All right, so where does Springfield Leather source their leather, generally speaking?
Where don't we
Can I
source our
start?
Actually, that says genuinely speaking.
Well, at any rate, okay.
We promise not to lie to you.
That's what these live videos are, transparency.
All right. It used to be years ago, back in the day, I remember so plainly, people used to think, man, if you got leather out of Mexico, that was bad. If you got leather from South America, that was just bad. Well, that's not true anymore. Those people all learned, basically from the United States, how to tan leather and how to tan it very, very well. And some of them learned how to tan leather a lot better than what we in this country can tan it in some instances.
Well, and some of it comes down to EPA regulations, Jim.
Yes, it does. So to answer your question, where do we source it from mostly?
Can I read?
Go ahead.
You wrote it. I can make it out, sort of. All over the world.
That's the short answer. To give a little detail, most of our veg, not all, most, is sourced from Herman Oak. That's our preferred source. We really like that here in Missouri and St. Louis. We also have a tanner that works with us in Mexico. They make, they're one of the premium tanners in Mexico, and we get some veg double shoulders from them. We have a tannery in Argentina that works with us, and their leather is extremely good. There's a tannery in South Brazil, not north, but south, where we acquire import sides of leather. We won't buy double shoulders from them because they come in looking like a deranged octopus. But there's
Genuinely speaking.
but their sides are incredibly nice
And huge.
and huge. We got
I don't even know where they get cows that big.
we got a 54-foot side of leather from these people.
Somewhere on our
That's
Facebook, yeah.
half of a cow.
Somewhere on our Facebook, there's like a picture of us stringing this cow side along one of our
anyway.
trailers.
So what?
A normal Herman Oak side's like 22 to 26.
I think they say theirs is like 24 average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's important that I think Kevin is making the point of is each tannery that we deal with does something really well. That doesn't mean that they do everything that is appealing to us.
Right.
But that's why we source from so many different places, because we do like the sides that this tannery tans, but we're not a fan of the shoulders. For different reasons. They're not firm enough, they're not trimmed.
Right.
So then we find another tannery that does do the shoulders the way that we like them,
And we buy those.
and we buy those.
And you know, we really should take the opportunity to
India, Pakistan.
thank you guys out there, our customers.
Turkey.
Because you have given us the ability to actually find those sources and buy in the volume that we buy to enable us to get. I don't think anybody buys leather better than we do.
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't think so. And we've been.
They might buy more, but I don't think they buy better.
So anyway, that really is kudos to all of you that have trusted us to supply you with leather. Thank you very much. Now, along with those supplying, I'd like to make the point, most of the time, we learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
People would contact us from various tanneries. Hey, we make this. We're the best tannery in the world and the largest tannery in the world, and our stuff is great. Would you like to buy some? So, sure, send us a sample so we get the sample. Guess what that sample looks like? It's the most glorious piece of leather you've ever seen in your life. Well, yeah, I'll take 2,000 feet. Holy cow, that's a lot of leather, 2,000 feet. And in it comes, and it sure ain't like the sample.
You take a double shoulder, literally tear, and rip it right down the center.
So we learned. We now function almost exclusively through agents. So we have agents in these countries that will go and inspect the leather, make sure it's good. If it's not good, they reject it, and we are able to reap the benefits of that.
That comes through a relationship with those.
Exactly. And thank you for saying that, because Springfield Leather believes very strongly in relationships, not only with our vendors, but our customers. Because I'll tell you what, we're going to make mistakes. And we would like to have our customers be willing to work with us when we do make those mistakes. Because I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't make mistakes too. And we're willing to work with you. We would like you to work with us. We get our leather from all over the world,
Literally.
especially chrome tanned leather, all over the world.
All right, so you brought up another one.
What are the different leather tanning processes? Veg, chrome, and then they have oil. There's
That's a kind of a simple one. There's veg tan and there's chrome tan. And then
There's
there's
a veg-
variants on each one of those.
Vegan leather.
Chrome tan that's got some oil in it. You can take a veg tan piece of leather and then you can chrome tan it. You can take a chrome tan piece of leather and then you can veg tan it. So it's called a retan. You can run it through an oil process and then you've got a chrome oil on it. You got anything?
Well, the only thing that I was going to mention is sometimes people can get so caught up on
Terminology.
Yeah, and so for us, we use oil tan more to reference a visual,
Yeah, a look.
a look
An
type,
article.
more so than whether it has a lot of oil in it.
yeah.
Yeah, we buy oil tan leathers by the pallet. And you'll get a piece of leather that's almost as dry as a bone, but it's sold to us as oil tan because that's how the tannery does it.
And then I got a swatch the other day from a guy, and when we opened, it was in a mail envelope, the cardboard one.
Yeah.
When we got it, you could see on the outside of the envelope where the swatch was at in it. And so I took pictures of it and I sent it back to him, and I was like, this might be a little heavy on the oil. And so anyway, don't get too caught up in the terminology. I know that it's important for us to be able to communicate, but I think communication comes through establishing that relationship as much as anything.
Here's a fun one. I want to buy U.S. made leather. What are my options? Well, it depends on a couple of things. First of all, what kind of leather? We have to know that because not all leathers are readily available in the United States. An example would be pigskin. You can buy some pigskin that's tanned in the United States, but Mexico, down in the city of Leon, that is the king of pigskin producing leathers in the world, with China following a close second. If you want to buy upholstery, there's upholstery leather in this country. It depends on what you're wanting to pay, because there's a big difference in the cost of leather in the United States and the cost of leather in Brazil or Argentina when it comes to upholstery.
And that goes back to sourcing leather from tanneries based on what they do really well.
Yeah.
But if you absolutely have to have U.S. made leather, then we have a lot of that. But it would really help us. Let's say you're a home person, you're making leather products, and you decide, I'm going to open an Etsy store, and I'm going to have all of my leather products sourced from the United States. I think I'm going to make 10 clutch purses. And I want some nice printed leather with butterflies on it, tanned in the United States.
That's really specific.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen because the tannery, any tannery, requires usually about a 2,000 square foot minimum.
So they refer to it as a drum load.
Yeah.
And the drum, the amount of footage in the drum, or that the drum will handle, is based on the thickness of the leather. The thicker the leather, the smaller the
It could be 4,000 feet in the drum. It could be 1,000 feet, depending on the leather. So if you're gonna make a product and you've got to have chrome tan leather with butterflies on it, and you call me and ask and say, can you get this made in the United States? Yes, I can. How many thousand feet would you like? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Now we have, like Rusty said, we have good relationships with some vendors. There's probably a guy out there that would sell us a sample lot of 500 feet. I got a feeling your 10 clutch purses aren't going to take 500 feet. So here I sit with 480 feet of chrome tan leather with pink butterflies on it, and
now they're pink.
okay, I'm done.
Not likely.
Did I cover that?
Yeah, I think you got it.
Veg tan leather. Your options in the United States, two.
You got Herman Oak and Wicked and Craig. So.
You know, there's another Horween.
Oh yeah.
But
there are several tanneries in the United States, but they're not.
You can't buy from them because all their production is sold.
Yeah, a lot of times they're tanning specifically for certain companies or certain things. So what about animals?
What about them? They're nice. I
don't know.
So maybe like, do you want some deer skin that's from the United States?
You could do that.
We could probably
can
do that.
happen.
Yeah, you could do that.
That can happen.
Probably get some elk
Yeah.
from the United States.
Mm-hmm. Cow.
Elephant.
You're never going to get an ostrich probably from the United States. It's not.
Well, I mean, there's some that live here.
There is. I don't know if we tan them though.
Yak.
Yeah. Colorado.
I just like saying.
Got some yak.
Okay, so I think we've ruined that pretty well. Let's see. What is blue leather?
How is it different than crust leather?
Thanks for helping. Well, now, so
Have the glasses on.
a salted hide is, it has come off the animal, it has been salted, it has been folded up, put on a pallet, ready to go to a tannery. It can stay that way
For a while.
for quite a while. So then you end up with what they refer to as wet blue. Wet blue is that it is starting to go through the liming process, having the hair removed, and getting to that point. Now, you didn't mention wet, but that would
But
be...
that's got to be what they're talking about.
Yeah, so wet blue. Now, what is a crust? A crust is a leather that has been tanned, and it's waiting to be colored and finished. So basically, if you're gonna tan a chrome tan leather, and that's we're just gonna use that one for the time being. If you're gonna tan a chrome tan leather, you're not gonna tan 25,000 feet of black unless you got 25,000 feet of black sold.
Well, and again, tanneries are different because there's some tanneries that will do that, but there's some tanneries that all they do
Oh yeah.
is produce wet blue leather. They take the hair off the hides and they sell it to another tannery so that tannery can
Do what they do.
tan the leather. The tannery that they sell it to, their business might only be to produce crust. Crust, like Brother Rusty said, is nothing but leather that has been tanned. It's typically, when it's done, it's grayish, bluish in color, and it's sitting there waiting to be sprayed, finished, dyed.
So what you're telling me then is it's possible that a cowhide could go from the slaughter plant to a place that does nothing but takes the hair off and turns it into wet blue.
Yep.
Be sold to another place that tans it.
Yep.
And then it could be sold to another
A
place
finishing place.
that is a finishing plant
Yes.
before it ever gets sold to
Anywhere. That's correct.
Or it could be the tannery takes it from A to B.
Like Hermano.
Yeah.
But the idea behind crust is say you're doing like an alligator, you're going to do alligator crust. So they tan them up and get them into crust, and then they wait for an order. And when the order comes in and they say, hey, I want 20 blue, I want 20 black, I want 20 red, they go to their crust. They can use any of those because they're all crust. Dye them, finish them, here you go.
Yeah. A good example would be some of the exotic tanners that we deal with, or finishers that we deal with, will come to us and say, hey, Rusty, we've got some caiman hides that are just really good right now, and they're really cheap.
And I go, wow.
Yeah, they're not too big, but the price is really good. They're $30 a piece. Oh, well, I'd like to get some of those. How many have you got? Well, I've got 1,000 of them. Okay. What colors are they? Well, they're all in the crust. Oh.
So then we get to pick colors, and that's fun.
Except they don't want to do. They want you to buy 25 of a color.
Yeah, because they're
Or
not going to
50.
sit there and dye 3.
Because a lot of this is done by hand too. There's a lot of the tipping that's done by hand, and so they want to be able to do some quantities, and so that's why you'll see us trying to advertise and get. And we're like, hey, we got 25 of these. Well, that's because that was what the minimum was. But it brings me back to the crust. That's why we are starting to offer you crust, is so that you can buy a skin. And you can make a black wallet, a blue wallet, a red wallet, a purple wallet, a pink wallet with butterflies on it, whatever the case may be, but you got it all out of the same skin, so you were able to utilize that skin over and over and over and over again.
Okay, let's
We had a couple questions online here.
Okay, get it.
So Darcy asked for Kevin, are chamois the only oil tan, the only real oil tan? I don't know what she was talking about.
chamois are a true oil tan leather. I actually do not know the answer to
I
that.
don't either, Darcy. Good job. Aren't you working?
She's working on stumping me. Then Frankie asked, upholstery leather, what's it made from, and what is it called tannage wise?
It's normally a chrome tan leather. It'll be made out of cow. I mean, that's your basic, simple answer. They do make veg tan upholsteries. Usually, a veg tan upholstery is more expensive because the process is more intensive. It takes longer, and usually there's EPA regulations that fall into all that.
Yeah, and more upholstery leather is being tanned.
They are developing quite a few new options with that.
And it's nice. It is probably quality-wise, it's probably a better overall quality leather. And like Rusty says, cowhide, although it could be goat, it could be pig, it could be sheep.
A lot of times, though, with upholstery, you want big panels, and so cowhide is really where you're going to get that. They'll tan full hides when they do upholstery, so you can cut those couch cushions out.
Right. Anything else?
Back to the list.
Oh, there's another question.
Oh, yeah.
What do you got?
Let's see. Are we working on any? Oh, we'll get to that afterwards, Aaron Barbie.
Okay. Let's see.
Do these people, are you guys working?
I guess it took early lunch.
That's all right. Hey, we encourage. Here's the thing, though, is I'm just giving you guys a hard time because we encourage all of our employees to watch all the videos that we do. That way, they can see exactly what I mean about Liz's laugh, and that it's a big laugh for a little gal.
And
So
when you guys get questions, have questions and call us. Hopefully, somebody else besides Rusty or me can answer.
that's the deal.
Yeah.
It's all about educating.
Yeah. How to cut straight edges when lining up a field journal.
Well, the clicker die.
Oh, sure. Just get yourself a clicker.
That's all you got to
They
do.
only weigh 2,400 pounds, and you put it in your living room. Use it as a coffee table.
I mean,
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Squares are really good for leather crafting at home. That way you can.
Use a square.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to use one, your second product will be better than your first.
Sharp knives.
Sharp.
Yes.
Hey, here's a secret for everybody out there. All of you people know this already, but did you know that most, not all, but most leather work comes down to three things? Most.
A sewing machine, a clicker, and leather.
That's nice, but not exactly what I had in mind. Most leather work comes down to moisture content, sharpness, and your working surface. There.
All right, there you go.
Big secret.
Embossed leather. We just had another one come through. Is there any rule about embossed leather being chrome or veg?
No.
No, veg tan leather is going to hold the impression better, but no, at the state that they put the embossing in it, there's no real rule.
Is our embossed, like our $10 square foot leather, is that veg?
This looks like
I feel like it is.
Veg, yeah.
Yeah.
But it could also be a retan too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Not really a rule kind of situation.
tannage. Leather tanning is highly secretive.
Yeah,
Those folks that do that, oh my goodness, they work
it's a
hard.
recipe. It's the Colonel's recipe.
Yeah, very
So, what about just taking an animal for the skin?
Well, that happens, but it's so limited.
And usually it's so regulated that
Yeah.
you can't. So if the animal was not taken legally, you can't even sell the hide because they have things that are called like a CITES tag. And a CITES tag will tell you the country of origin, the permit number, all of those sort of things. Any of your leathers that are tanned in a professional tannery will have lot numbers, they'll have batches, they'll be able to tell where that hide came from. And then now, so like with cow, it's not really that big of a thing. They're not extinct, they're not going extinct.
Obviously, we're eating them.
So the question is all leather a byproduct of the food industry? The answer is, for the most part, 99% would be. Now, here's an interesting thing. I have some folks that I visit with from time to time and customers, and they say, well, why do you sell elephant? Or why do you sell giraffe? Or why do you sell shark? Well, we sell it because it was taken properly. So the way that I usually will explain it is this. Let's go with elephant because that's a topic of discussion. Elephant herds have to be managed. They live in the desert. They are not. They
Jungle.
jungle, desert.
Depends on the time of year.
I've watched the TV.
Depends on the elephant.
So the thing is 90% of them are managed. They're managed herds. So when they take an elephant, it's due to managing the herd. The elephant meat is then given to a local village, and they eat elephant. Okay? So then the leather goes to a tannery, gets tanned, and gets sold. It gets a CITES tag on it that tells you where it came from, what the permit number was, why it was taken, all those sort of things. Then some of that money goes back to fund the management group that is managing the herd. So, shark, they farm shark.
Yeah, I know.
Alligator, you can farm alligator.
They farm pythons.
So now in this country, there's a tannery that does 99% American alligator. Well, if you've ever watched Swamp People, where they're taking those alligators, that's where some of those skins come from.
But they use the meat.
So here's the thing: is that tannery actually owns a meat processing plant that processes nothing but alligator. So it goes from the swamp to the slaughter, to the tannery, to the table, basically. And kudos, you know, because some of them are taken as nuisance animals as well. You find an alligator in your swimming pool, they've got to deal with it one way or the other. You can't always move it. So a lot of animals are farmed for different things. Shark, I don't know if you've ever eaten shark, but it is delicious.
I'm not.
It is.
So,
And
anyway.
if you get good alligator meat, whew,
All right, let's do that one.
one more.
Go ahead.
Giraffe.
Oh,
Giraffe is considered to be the venison of Africa. True story. Okay? And there's actually a very large giraffe meat industry in this country. It's supposed to be very, very good.
I don't know. I probably am not going to rush out looking for giraffe steaks. And, you know, no matter what you think about it,
For dinner?
it's one of those things that it is what it is, and we try to make the best of it and try to do it in as responsible a manner as we possibly can. This question, I think we've dealt with this before, but maybe we can really put some clarity on it. How is the footage of a side determined? Didn't you just buy one of those great big old
One of those great big
table
old
measuring things?
one of those things. So if you've ever gone to the grocery store, follow me. If you haven't, then but if you've ever gone to the grocery store and they've got that conveyor belt that runs, at the end of that conveyor belt there's a set of eyes. Those eyes, as long as they can see each
You're
other.
talking about the cash register.
Yeah. It'll just continue to run until something gets up and blocks that. Once it blocks it, it's programmed to stop the conveyor belt. That's why every time the person checking you out picks something up, it moves until the next thing comes up there. Okay? So a measuring machine uses the same style thing. Now, it used to.
It goes this way.
It would, and some tanneries may still, it would use a deal where it would drag fingers across the leather, and as soon as one of those fingers would drop off, it would stop counting.
So you mean if all these little fingers, if a piece of leather was sliding under those fingers and the leather had a big hole in it, the fingers are no longer touching leather, so they would not count the hole.
Exactly. And the fingers don't really have much space between them. So they're
right
counting
next to one another.
because
Like hairs.
Well, here's the thing: is the tannery's getting paid by the square foot usually, and they want to get paid for everything they can get paid for
Like by the 10th of the foot.
because they're only making a percent usually over top of the cost of the leather. So
Some of our viewers might not know the percentage that a tannery operates at.
it's not much.
No, a tannery can operate on 3 or 4% profit margin because they're tanning millions of feet. So when the leather gets counted by this measuring machine, they are really concerned with accuracy. Like Rusty said, they want to count.
I think this green one actually has a pretty.
What one?
So this one.
Oh, I don't know if you can see it, but this is a pretty good example. Let's hold up the other end, guys. Let's hold the belly up. This obviously is the part of leather that most people aren't too fired up about buying. But when these little areas, every little bit run under the counting machine, they're counted.
And
So-
the cost.
And they cost money.
They charge you the same amount for those as they do for this.
They charge us for it. So here's an interesting point. You get a piece of leather that has been run through a government-approved measuring device for leather.
It's just like gas pumps where they have to be.
It's a lot like
certified.
gas pumps. They're government-approved, government-regulated,
It's a
checked out.
commodity.
It's a commodity. It's 23 square feet. Okay. You know what happened before that side got measured?
It's probably trimmed.
It was trimmed. And that person that has that job at the tannery is the guy that determines pretty much whether they make money or lose money. Because he's got a knife and he's going to trim off every little thing that's ugly, nasty, almost every little thing. He's going to leave some on there because he's trimming 1,000 hides a day or whatever. And the leather that's on the floor around him,
Money they don't make.
money that they don't make. So
if it's not a finger style, then it scans it. And so you may or may not be familiar. There's digital cutting machines, and so you can lay a hide out and you mark all the spots, and it takes a picture of that, and at that point it will go in and cut all the parts that you need around that.
this is a great example.
Same principle.
I'll hold that up. This is a really good example because this is marked, what, 4.5?
Yeah.
4.5 square feet. Now, if you lay this on a table that's marked out in 12 by 12 squares, you're going to have a hard time seeing 4.5 square feet. But you can bet it's there because they've counted this, they've counted this, they've counted this, they've counted every little thing on this piece of leather. Now, with that being said, I wanted to make a point because we have a number of customers that say, you guys sent me a piece of leather, you charged me for 7 square feet, but I can tell you right now, there's not 7 square feet in it. Because I lay it down, I know how to measure leather. I got a table, it's marked out in 12-inch squares, and there's not 7 square feet there. Well, actually, there probably is. And there's a good chance there's even a little more.
I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what 7 square feet looks like. Well, I appreciate that.
Yep.
But at the same time, you know, using leather every day doesn't put you into a position where you have to measure leather every day.
So, have we ever received leather from a vendor that was incorrectly marked?
Yes, it has happened.
I've been doing this for 45 years. I have seen that happen twice.
It's very rare.
And you call the tannery, and oh my, this is not a good phone call. Because if they've got to go back, and well, that's even happened with us
Yes,
one
it
time.
has.
They've got to go back to their customers and take care of them. Say, hey, we overcharged you. We've discovered that our measuring machine was off by 0.4%. They have to recalculate, reconfigure that measuring machine, get it right, and then go forward. So when somebody says to us, you sent me 8 square feet of leather, but it ain't 8 square feet, boy, we get nervous. We really do.
Well, you know, nervous because we want to make sure it's right. And so we will go and check it. And we will make sure.
We ask for pictures a lot of times.
Yeah, and we go back and we look at the other skins in that and we measure them to make sure.
Yeah, and how many times have we've had a customer call and say, you know, I ordered 5 feet, but this isn't 5 feet. So we'll send them another piece and try to make it as right as we can make it. And typically we'll always send a bigger piece just to make sure they got it. Then we'll ask for that one back and we'll send them a shipping label so they don't have to take care of it. But we just send it, and we get the piece back, and guess what? It wasn't 5 feet, it was 5.5. But they just didn't understand how to look at a piece of leather in all those squares.
It's all about educating each other.
It is.
So we had one more question that was online, and it was about dyeing leather and not getting streaks in it.
That's not that hard. There's two ways.
That was from England.
You can spray it.
That's the simple answer. Spray your leather with whatever particular dye that you want to use. That's the simplest way. If you can't spray it, and I understand that, then you may want to take into consideration using some kind of an antique gel. Now, we just added to our line an Italian manufactured water stain. I'm told, I haven't worked with it yet, but I'm told you can put that stuff on with a dauber and it will go on even.
A suggestion, wet the leather.
Or neat's foot oil.
Well, neat's foot oil, it's going to give different characteristics.
That's different.
That is a way, but that's a way that you need to practice. What I'm talking about, you can pretty much guarantee is going to work. Wet the leather, cut the dye. Once you've cut the dye and you've wet the leather, you are building color. Wetting the leather keeps the leather from acting like a sponge and just absorbing real quickly right there. So it opens the fibers of the leather, but then if you'll cut the dye at the same time, then you have less chance of getting those streaks.
Or use something besides the dauber that has a larger surface area, so
Right.
you're not just streaking
So
it on.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
One of the things Rusty said about cutting your dye, man, that's important. If you're using Phoebing's dye or Angela's dye, those dyes are designed to be reduced by 50% before you even start thinking about putting them on a piece of leather, because they have so much pigment in them. A lot of people don't understand that. So, like Rusty said, if you're in doubt, reduce the dye too much.
You can always put more on.
Yeah, you can add more.
You can't take it out.
So Kevin, we had a comment. Somebody got a piece of leather on the back of it. It says, "Do not move," and then it's signed Kevin. They want to know, do you want that back?
No, but I can tell you how that happened.
That's pretty good.
This is a crazy place sometimes.
Yeah.
Somebody called and they wanted a certain piece of leather, and I probably had to go hunt and find it and hadn't heard anything for a day or two. So I took that piece of leather and I set it someplace and I wrote on there, "Do not move."
You're welcome.
So we had another question. Are we going to? Would we be willing to do an online painting dyeing class? And that's what these live videos are kind of for. Is you're suggesting what you want to see?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, I would love to have Denny and you all and some of these folks do some of this stuff. The only thing that concerns me, and this is coming from the viewpoint of a technological dinosaur, I mean, this is like the top of my techie stuff right here, is the fact that some of this stuff is time consuming. And, you know, I know what people's attention spans are like today, and some of it can take a little time. So, yes, I would love to do that. I just would ask people to bear with us as some of the things that take a little time are.
Did you see the video we shot yesterday?
I did not.
I repaired a pair of flip-flops.
Oh, happy days.
Yeah.
You cut the same side
Cut-
like 4 or 5 times.
I messed it up 3 or 4 times, but they're done, and I got the soles on them. They look good, and my wife's happy.
We'll have to get some pictures.
But it did take an hour. But that was because, well, it actually took a little bit more than an hour, but it was because I kept cutting out the wrong piece. So what happened? In my defense, the thing that happened was I didn't cut the first piece out big enough to be able to lay them both on there so that I could visually. And so once I did that, it was all down.
Do I care about this?
That's what we're doing next week. Clayton.
Bam!
What is this?
Oh, the tote.
This is
So a guy named Dan Baldwin has kind of been asking for us to do a bag video. We have a new tote bag that's coming out, a kind of a kit pattern.
Isn't this the one that we've got a bunch of people working on?
We do.
That's what my daughter was in the basement pounding on the granite slab last night. She was punching chiseling holes.
Hopefully not just on the granite.
Well, the first hit, and I'm like, what does that sound? And the second hit, I'm like, what? Oh! No! And I go and get a cutting board, I'm like, here. Yeah, they're not the same.
We have some neat things in the works. What is that big green thing? Why do we have that?
This is leather
So this is
from
new.
a cow.
Yeah. He's green.
This is a veg, and it is, what, 8'9"?
Not, yeah, it's,
So
it's
why? Please help me here.
So one of our
Why-
amazing vendors sent us
Why
some
do I
samples.
want to own a green piece of 9-ounce?
Why wouldn't
Why
you?
wouldn't you?
Get out of here. So,
Go ahead.
so we have a great vendor. He sent us
He said it's green leather. How can he be a
but
great
he
vendor?
also sent us blue and
It was in
pink
March.
and red
You're not giving him any points in
and
my book.
caramel.
And it splits
It
phenomenally.
does. This is going to be really great wallet interior stuff or some great belts.
Cut a
like-
green belt.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, you see a lot of those
Put
out there.
some white stitching on it.
I got a nephew that would wear a green belt. I guarantee he's.
Remember when he said he was a dinosaur?
Never mind.
So anyway, so our marketing team is working on these new colors, so they should be available here in the next couple weeks or so.
Well, I will say, in behalf of the fact that I don't really care for green leather all that much, this has a nice grain.
You know, your wife drove a minivan with a turtle on the dash forever.
Well,
A turtle like this big. And you go down the road and the turtle's like,
Yeah, it's having a good time.
and you said you liked the turtle.
I think we have one more thing.
It didn't eat much.
Where's the little bag?
Are we giving this one?
No, not till Monday, but we're gonna remind people.
Okay, so dice bag. Made out of Kevin's Exotic Scrap Pack.
Wow.
So Andrew did a video on this
Last
here.
week, that was our last week, Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So on Monday, Rusty and I will be raffling off this bag again.
Not really a raffle, you're just going to draw names.
We're gonna draw a name.
I like the raffle idea, man.
Just pick a number.
So here's the thing, though. I want to do a runner-up. So we did this last week,
Yep.
and we did a runner-up last week, and what did she get?
She got a free year of our Gold Club membership.
So I'm not saying that's what we're going to do again, but I'll tell you, it worked out pretty good. It was pretty cool. Tell them the
Yeah,
experience.
so she just bought with us just a couple times here in the last
She was new to leatherwork.
month or so. And so we reached out and we got her that Gold Club membership, which will help her kind of get started and move it along in her leathercraft.
That's kinda cool.
She was pretty excited about it.
Some people would like that.
Hopefully the guy that got the wallet or the Field Note Journal was excited about his Field Note Journal.
Hey. Yeah, we figured out that he was from Scotland.
Do we need-
Ireland. One of the two.
Okay.
Well, they're close, but they're not the same.
Potatoes.
Okay.
Do we need to talk about any of this stuff?
No, I think
Talk
this
about
was
anything you want.
just leather that we
Just
had to show.
different leathers.
Okay, we just got in a whole bunch of bison. This is actually nice
This is
bison.
nice.
It's pretty clean. The
That's
colors
so
are
stretchy.
great. It's going to sell for $2.99 a foot. It'll be on our website shortly if it's not already there.
Sold 7 sides of it.
The Saffiano leather that we have started selling is selling wonderfully.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are loving those bundles. It's a lot of great
And
colors.
A lot of people are making bags. And by the way, we have the ability to split this down to about 2 ounce. And when you talk about wallet interiors, oh my goodness, especially ladies' accessories.
Ideally, if we're going to split it,
We have to be
we would like to
narrow
split it in pieces sort of like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The larger the pieces, the more complicated it is to split.
We don't like to eat our leather here.
Oh,
with
we'll
this
talk
We
leather.
about
don't like machines that eat
It's
leather.
no good.
I don't know. Blue suede? Who cares?
I don't know. Rusty likes to lick leather.
Is this leftover from Elvis days? Blue suede shoes.
Yeah, it is.
We have blue suede. This is a pretty good one. Actually, this is
Oh,
really nice.
hey, I've got 500 feet of this store.
We have a lot left.
Yeah.
So this is a goat skin, and it's this color, and it's nice, and it's going to be
It's this color.
Do you have a price range?
What is it?
It's goat. But the nice thing about it is that it would make great medicine bags. You could make a mock out of it. I would
Yeah, this waistline is pretty great.
probably line it somehow.
Right.
I don't recall what I'd have to look at my notes.
So probably $2 or under.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's under $2.
Then maybe around $1.49.
Okay, well it's $1.49. There you go. You heard it here first.
Okay.
Making your leather waterproof.
Making your leather waterproof. They sell. Phoebing's makes a product that's silicone based, and you can spray it on.
Be Natural
Be
also
Natural
makes one.
makes
It's
one.
very expensive.
But it's good.
Very good.
It's good.
It is
Yes.
good.
Aussies works quite well.
You've got to be careful with some of them, especially like mink oil and stuff. It'll work, but it's going to darken the leather quite a bit. A pair of work boots, you might
That's fine. Mink oil is not my first choice.
or even needs foot oil, but no, it wouldn't necessarily be my first. Speaking of which, Herman Oak has a new water-resistant leather that we're going to begin carrying.
That's an interesting term that you use, because they say water resistant because nobody can make leather waterproof simply because you can put any water or leather in a bucket of water and eventually it's going to absorb. But I have seen their water resistant leather sit there and hold water for like a half an hour.
It was pretty impressive.
It was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So on the website, if you want to get your leather split down, there's a box there. You can put what you might want to, and we'll contact you with a price that may be attached, and if we can.
How about if next
Exactly.
time we talk a little bit about leather splitting, because we get a lot of people to ask about that.
Yeah, maybe you can. Next week we're doing the tote bag with Clayton. We're going to make one live.
Maybe the week after that.
Maybe the week after that we can talk about splitting.
Well, write it down so I don't forget.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Bye.
Stop. She sent me over.